Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Primary health and primary education is very important, and obviously it's part of the Sustainable Development Goals, no wonder. But non-communicable diseases have taken a lead in all the mortalities, and if we say the death rates, it's even more important than the communicable diseases. We are so afraid of the communicable diseases, but non-communicable diseases take its toll much ahead of the other group. Heart disease, diabetes, blood pressure, and certain other diseases which cannot be communicable, they are not communicable, but because they are familial, doctors believe that they are in their own right sort of communicable diseases. So how to get rid of their bad effect and how to improve the diaspora and society at large? The basic principle is to understand and communicate. And obviously, for understanding, we need a scientist, a doctor, and to make general public or even the leaders understand, once again we need a doctor who can explain in our jargon, in our terms, to the general public in easy terms to make it understand. Today we have invited a very competent doctor who has a military background as well, shining star on the horizon, Dr. Kiani. Doctor, very warm welcome.
Thank you.
Before going into detail, should I ask you for the basic premise?
Actually, I am a cardiologist. I think this the subject you were discussing is very much related to me, and this is the major issue as far as we are concerned. And in this part of the world, the prevalence of this disease is more than 80%. We being in the South Asian part, including Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Nepal, who come within the low and middle income countries, they suffer the most.
Right.
We have more diabetics.
Right.
We have more cardiac patients. And we have this disease 3 to 4 times more common than the Americans.
Right.
6 times more than the Chinese, and 20 times more than the Japanese.
All right.
This disease comes in this part of the world at a very early age. The reason is we have got small arteries and they have got small diameters.
That is congenital.
That's congenital. And then it comes 5 to 10 years earlier than the other ethnic groups. But when it comes with severity. It causes more deaths and more disabilities in this part of the world. So the poverty increases, and as you know that 80% of public in Pakistan, they pay from their own pocket for their health. Only the 20% of the lucky ones who are either entitled, sponsored by the government, or they are sponsored by certain organizations. And that increases the problem many folds. If they have some assets and if they have some money for their food, they have to spend that money on their health, left with no money for their food.
So it's a financial shock as well.
It is a financial shock. It's a mental as well as a financial. So it increases the poverty further.
And the vulnerability.
And the vulnerability. That's the most important thing. I'm a practicing cardiologist, and I'm heading one of the cardiology hospitals here in Rawalpindi. I headed Pakistan Armed Forces Institute of Cardiology as commander and executive director. And after my retirement, I was appointed as chief executive at Rawalpindi Institute of Cardiology. Not only that I'm heading that institution, I'm also a practicing cardiologist. I do my clinical cardiology and then at the same time do my interventional cardiology. And the daily I go and see my patient in the emergency.
All right.
And you see what kind of age group we are having in our coronary care units and emergency room. People ranging from 22 up to 90.
So early.
And it's very early. It used to be a disease of middle age and the later elderly age.
Rather a child, 22 years.
22 years, students, university students, lab assistants coming to you with a heart attack. And when you tell them you have a heart attack and tell their families that the individual has a heart attack, they refuse to believe. And they say, we don't believe you. You cannot have heart attack at such an early age.
Right.
And when you give them the facts and see the damage is done, and this is what we are going to do, and we do the angiography, and if need be, then we do the angioplasty and stenting at the same time, which is required, then they start blaming you. And this is because of lack of awareness, lack of education, and lack of information to the general public at the grassroots level.
You said the information just in a few minutes, 1 or 2, 3 minutes. What disease is like? What is the anatomy and physiology of the disease? And I'm asking because most of the time we say it's heart disease, but actually it's disease of the arteries. So just for the layman.
Yes, very important. I think the individual doesn't know what kind of disease he's having, and you tell them that you have got, basically it's a disease of coronary arteries.
Coronary arteries.
The arteries are the channels which supply food and nutrition to the heart. And those are very important channels. Your life depends on those channels. And once they get blocked or choked, then you get either a chest pain angina, and if they are 100% blocked, then they cause a heart attack. And heart attack means a permanent death of a muscle of the heart, which you cannot bring back, even if you treat the patient.
Even if you treat the patient.
Even if you treat the patient, the only possibility is if some muscle is viable and is on the gray zone and the borderline, and you open up the artery, that may come back, become live again, and maybe 5% or 10%
damage is sustained.
Yes, they damage the system. But if someone comes to the hospital to very early hours, I mean within 90 minutes to 2 hours to the hospital, and you manage to take him to the cath lab or angiography room and do the angiography, if the artery is blocked, you put in the stent, open the artery 100%, you've done a wonderful job. You have saved the muscle and you have saved the patient. Because in this disease, once you get the chest pain, then reaching the hospital is the most important thing. The hospital where you get the heart treatment, not the hospital where no one can diagnose the disease, and then you waste time in diagnosing and treating the patient. So every second and every minute matters. The reason being that every second and every minute you are losing your muscle and you are losing your heart. So the moment he comes to the hospital, if you don't have the angioplasty facility, and if you give them injection, the clot buster injection, the thrombolytic therapy, that may open up the arteries. Usually what happens is the artery is 90% blocked and 10% flow is there in the coronary artery. When the heart attack occurs, then there's a total blockage. There's a clot
because
sitting.
Some thrombus or something.
There's thrombus and clot that sits in the forms in the coronary artery and blocks it 100%. And when the artery is 100% blocked, there's no nutrition to the muscle down the line. So that muscle is damaged and we call it a heart attack. If that is treated right in the beginning, the first few hours, the first few minutes, you make the maximum benefit. So this is really very important to get the message to the masses. The moment you have a symptom and you suspect you are having a heart problem, you should immediately rush to the hospital.
Right.
This is really very important.
I was reading some sort of an autobiography of Mrs. Simpson. She said heart has its reasons. There must be some reasons for that.
There are reasons, yes, there are reasons. I think the main problem in this part of the world is the dietary habits, no physical activity or the minimal physical activity, smoking, then overweight. You see that apple-shaped kind of obesity, you see the protruding tummies, and
the pear shape.
The pear shape, yeah, that's the main thing. And this is the kind of obesity we have in this part of the world.
The pear shape.
The pear shape. And I think once you have that kind of obesity, you have a fat on your tummy. It's like this fat is sitting on certain organs and it's choking those organs. And then it has some toxic effects on the health of the individual.
All right.
So whether it's heart, if it's a brain or kidneys or peripheral arteries, it has those effects. So I think the message to the general masses is...
And these toxic effects, they are pronounced.
Very pronounced. I think this new entity has come up recently, and it has, I think, attained the shape of an epidemic. That's the metabolic syndrome.
Metabolic, yes.
The metabolic syndrome is that you are overweight.
Very fat.
You don't
very
exercise.
Fat.
Yes, very fat. You don't exercise. You smoke. Your blood pressure is deranged, and your lipid profile or your cholesterol is raised. The combination of all these things is a disaster. The only way to tackle this problem is that you should have a healthy diet where you should have more of vegetables and more of fruit, less of meat or chicken and these dairy products, and exercise more, and eat that much which you can spend. That is really very important, because every ounce of fat you put on is very difficult to shed it off.
Even for the children.
Even for the children, you see, when the child is born, his artery already has a yellow streak of fat.
Inside.
So,
inside the lumen.
Inside the lumen of the coronary arteries. So, how the child behaves in the future, or how that child parents train him and feed him and tell him not to smoke, exercise, not to put on weight, those things are really very important. And if those things are taken care of, you reduce the incidence of the disease. So you have to go to the low level, to the parents level, to the school level, to the colleges level, and educate the people about the the causes of the disease. And I think this is number one killer disease in the world, but it is highly preventable.
Preventable.
Yes, it is preventable, and it is preventable only when you listen to the instruction, listen to the education and awareness, and follow the do's and don'ts.
Right, through behavior.
Through behavior.
So, so here we take a short break, and after the break we will discuss similar things and come to the practitioners, how they treat the patient and what are the wrongs and what are the rights in those fields. So please stay with us.
It's diverse.
It's original.
It's SDTV.
Welcome back. So, after understanding that the disease is there and the behavior is there, obviously there's a lot of people who come with the disease and doctors are there who are treating them. But very often we hear that most often than not, that there was no requirement, there was no need to put a stunt, and the stunt has been put. There was no need for a bypass surgery, and they have done. I have heard even that a patient was diagnosed at a very late stage, very senior person, that he cannot or she cannot even sustain stunt, and the stunt was put and the patient died. So after the policy which is there, do you think we need to train our doctors community to this much and make them more aware, or even on the ethical side?
Yeah, this is called malpractice. This is really very important, and you need to have a very.
It's happening.
It's happening. It's
Right.
happening, and I think here comes the role of the regulatory bodies and the professional societies. They should have minimum standards, and then if you have a doubt that you are doing we call it inappropriate procedure.
Right.
It's not required and it's done. And then you bring in the cardiac team. The cardiac team is usually a two-member team,
Right.
cardiologist, a cardiac surgeon, or third you can include anesthetist. Once you do the angiogram, then you see that angiogram together and see whether some procedures is required or not, whether angioplasty is required or not, or surgery is required or not. If both are not required, you advise the patient to have the medicines. And the latest studies have shown that if you are on medicines, you can do equally well without these interventions. But once you are there and see that a surgery is not required, the patient can have the angioplasty, the cardiac team decides, and there is no bias. Neither a cardiologist bias, not a surgical bias. And both sit together and make a decision on difficult or borderline cases about the procedure. Once that is done, then the problem is solved. But what happens is, usually there are no cardiac teams. And if the cardiologist is inclined and he is bent upon doing the procedure, then he will put in the inappropriate stents. The stents are not required. But if there is somebody to monitor that thing, and they see those procedures and those recordings of the procedures, the angiographies and angioplasties, and someone has done the procedure where it was not required or inappropriate procedure, then it should be taken to the task.
Right.
And then the regulatory body should come in and they should put some kind of punishment. on that individual, whether it's a cardiologist or surgeon.
That medical and dental council.
Medical and dental council. This is really very
But
important.
I don't know if what I'm talking is totally true or not, but I have heard a lot of malpractices, grab of offices, cronyism in those. Is it true? And I'm asking you for a very specific person, for a very specific reason rather. You had been a chair for a short time and you try to overhaul the person, but I have heard that once again after the elections, the elected statutory system, that it has been grabbed again. So how efficient that PMDC is or other regulatory bodies?
Yes, I think you're right that through some ordinance, the previous council was dissolved, and I was put there as a chairperson of Pakistan Medical and Dental Council, along with my two members, professional members, Professor Awad Farooqi and Professor Nadeem Rizvi, along with one member from Law, Ministry of Law and Ministry of Finance. And yes, there was a lot of irregularities, and we handed over all the documents and all the record to the NAB. And they're investigating it. We were not the investigating agency. The concerned investigating agencies are doing their job, and hopefully something will come up. But I tell you that we came to know that there were fake registrations, fake medical colleges, and used to take money for recognizing the medical college. And it used to be like the amount, I think in the terms of 5 to 7 crore rupees per college. And they said, otherwise you have to give 1 year's fee of all the students to the PMDC registrar or the president.
And that goes up.
Goes up. And then it's some or the other, the ministry was also involved. 25%
Ministry was involved.
No, yes. I mean, it's lower level, some section officer or some deputy secretary, they were involved. They used to get 20, I mean, this is what I've been told, that they used to get 25% of that.
Cut off. It's a lot.
It's a lot. Once you had that kind of interest, and I was given 4 months, and we did, I think, work of the right day and night, really worked very hard. And you can imagine that in 10 years, there were only 12 meetings of the General Council, and in 4 months we had 15 meetings of this management committee and did all the things. There were more than 15,000 registrations which were pending, held. We cleared all those, and they used to demand from 10,000 to 1 lakh per registration, and these were cleared without any spending a single penny from the individuals. Then there were recognition of the different hospitals for training. We did that without taking the money. Then we re-inspected where there were some doubts. We re-inspected medical colleges, about I think numbering more than 30. And then, if anything on a personal vendetta was done to the individuals, we rectified that. We really did work very hard, because we all three were professionals, and professionals who had they had no political influence, they had no personal agenda of their own. They wanted to do something for this organization because it's a professional ethics. Because the professionals they were really mentally disturbed throughout Pakistan, because your recognition of the degree was at stake. If this thing goes
anywhere in the world,
if this thing goes on, then your degree will be de-recognized.
What is the situation now? Have they come back? You just pulled it.
We pulled it.
It has gone back.
We pulled it, and we thought that we'll hand it over to some very reasonable, mature, and senior colleagues or professionals. But somehow or the other, I think this was election process, and an election process what we discussed out, and later on the result came totally different. And we thought and we suspected that some elements from the ministry, they might have played with the election and managed to get elected those people who should not have been there.
And now they are there.
Now they are there. Let's hope and see that how they perform. But I think there should be very close monitoring of their performance. This is really very important because, and you have people over there who don't have any experience. They're not qualified for that. You have a senior professor level of individual sitting there making decisions about the registrations, and then the equivalence of qualifications, and then standard of medical education. We raise the bar of medical qualifications for the teachers in the medical colleges, and let's hope that continues. But I've got my doubts, and I will keep my fingers crossed.
Person who just reformed a body, if he's saying that, do you think it's a big question mark?
It is.
Which is
yes, I'm worried.
You are worried.
I'm worried.
Things have once again gone back to where they were.
Yeah, I may be wrong, but I think we'll have to wait and see how they perform. But the kind of
has some of the medical colleges come back, which you
no,
thought?
not yet, because these are the initial days. They have just taken over. So, but the group whom I don't know, and they don't have a good reputation.
All right.
So I think I have my doubts, and my doubts have been already conveyed. My doubts to the concerned authorities.
In writing.
Yes, in writing. So hopefully, I think something will come up. I think if they want to save the this regulatory body, then the profession because people, there will be unrest in the medical profession and senior professionals,
and it will lose its prestige.
It will lose
because you see, if you go to United States, every third topmost cardiologist is Indian or Pakistani. So, I mean, you will lose that reputation.
Yes, once you lose the reputation, already I think
and
there's a big question mark.
Just share one thing. There I asked someone, why Indian or Pakistani? Because they are clinically better than others. So, it means they had good education.
No, we have got very good doctors, very good professionals. And they are big names in the whole world. I mean, the West, you go to the West, you go to America, Canada, and you find doctors over there. They're heading the hospitals, they're heading the departments, and they're one of the best professionals over there. And they're really doing well, and they're worried about the future of this organization.
Here we take another break, and after the break we'll conclude and get some conclusions from a person who has spent his life in the profession. Please stay with us.
It's diverse.
It's original.
It's SDTV.
Welcome back. So, what is the take from this profession, from this program for a common person? And here I would like, if you want to, you can speak in Urdu and in English as well.
I think this is, the take is that in this part of the world, in Pakistan, where you don't have money, you have financial constraints, for the tertiary care, the only solution is.
But it should be, exposure at the primary level as well.
Yes, this is really very important that parhez ilaj se behtar hai. We should follow that power. That is really very important, especially हमारे मुल्क में जहाँ पे हमारे पास पैसे नहीं है जेब में बीमारी को डायग्नोज करने के लिए, ट्रीटमेंट तो दूर की बात है, तो वहाँ पे जो परहेज़ का वो शुरू से होना जाना चाहिए, पेरेंट्स लेवल पे, प्राइमरी स्कूल लेवल से, सारे स्कूल और कॉलेजेस यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल पे और कम्युनिटी लेवल पे। अभी देखिए मेरा एक फ्री क्लिनिक है, चैरिटी क्लिनिक है, जो मैं जब से यंग डॉक्टर था, कैप्टन था, उस वक्त से चला रहा हूँ अपने गाँव में, और अभी वो हॉस्पिटल बन गया। और वहाँ पे जब भी मैं जाता हूँ, क्लिनिक देखता हूँ, तो सुबह सवेरे वहाँ पे 100 के करीब मरीज़ आया, तो मेरा 1000 जो है वेटिंग पेशेंट की लाइन है। और मैं जो वहाँ पे सुबह आता हूँ, सुबह 6:30 बजे बंदे बैठे होते हैं, उनको मैं पहले जाके एक सरमन देता हूँ, तकरीर करता हूँ कि क्या आपको एहतियात करनी, मेरे पास आने की आपको ज़रूरत नहीं रहेगी अगर आप ये चीज़ें करें। उन्हें खुराक के बारे में बताया जाता है, ये सादा खुराक रखें, डेली वर्जिश करें, सवारी में साइकिल का इस्तेमाल ज़्यादा करें, मोटरसाइकिल गाड़ी का इस्तेमाल ना करें, नींद अपनी 6 से 8 घंटे पूरी करें, सब्ज़ी और फ्रूट जो सादा खुराक उस पर आप चलें, और सिगरेट बंद कर दें। तो ये चीज़ें सारी आपकी जिन बीमारियों से आप बच सकते हो। मुझे यहाँ पे आने की ज़रूरत ही ना हो अगर आप ये सारी चीज़ें करना शुरू करो। ना आपको शुगर हो, ना आपको ब्लड प्रेशर हो। अगर ब्लड प्रेशर हो तो आपने जो चीज़ें इस्तेमाल करें, नमक का कम इस्तेमाल, वज़न कम करें, वर्जिश करें, तो आपको ब्लड प्रेशर बगैर दवाई के ठीक हो जाएगा। इसी तरह शुगर है, तो उसमें अगर ये बीमारियां आ जाती हैं तो उसमें परेशान होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। ये बीमारियां जो मैनेजेबल और कंट्रोलेबल है, इनको कंट्रोल करने के लिए सारी उम्र आपको खुराक और बाकी जो परहेज़ करनी है और दवाई खानी है। और जितनी मिनिमम दवाई जिससे आपको ये दोनों चीज़ें कंट्रोल हो उतनी खानी चाहिए, बेशक ज़्यादा ना खाएं। और आप अपने डॉक्टर खुद बन जाए। डॉक्टर के पास जाना हो तो 6 महीने साल में एक दफ़ा जाएँ, जब आपका कंट्रोल ख़राब हो या आपको कोई कॉम्प्लिकेशन हो फिर जाए, अदरवाइज़ आप ना जाएं। तो ये ऐसी बीमारियां जिन्होंने कब्र तक चलना है, जिसमें शुगर है, ब्लड प्रेशर है, दिल की बीमारी है, और ये आपने सारी उम्र इसकी परहेज़ करनी है और दवाई खानी है। जहाँ पे कोई मसला हो फिर डॉक्टर के पास चले जाओ। तो जहाँ हमारे पास रिसोर्सेज भी थोड़े हैं, स्पेशलिस्ट भी थोड़े हैं, हॉस्पिटल्स भी थोड़े हैं, तो आप इस तरीके से कम्युनिटी को, लोगों को ट्रेन करें ताकि अपने आप को खुद लुक आफ्टर कर लें। और दूसरा जो हमारा सबसे बेस्ट सोल्यूशन जो हमारे मुल्क में हो सकता है वो ये है कि जहाँ पे बेसिक हेल्थ यूनिट्स हैं, वहाँ पे अगर आप सिर्फ पैरामेडिक्स को ट्रेन करते हैं, जो ये क्रॉनिक डिजीज़ है जिसमें शुगर, ब्लड प्रेशर और हार्ट है, जो नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज़ की लिस्ट में आती हैं, उनका सिर्फ वो लुक आफ्टर करता रहे। और जहाँ पे कोई मसला इशू उससे समझ ना आ रहा हो, वहाँ पे वो लगा के गैजेटरी, एक तो अभी रिमोट वो आ गई है टैबलेट के साथ, जो है ECG आप लगा लें, साथ सैचुरेशन आ जाती है, साथ ही ब्लड टेस्ट करें, उसमें आ जाते हैं। तो मुझे यहाँ रावलपिंडी इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ कार्डियोलॉजी
एंजाइम भी आ जाते हैं,
साथ ही एंजाइम भी आ जाते हैं। तो वो अब मैं रावलपिंडी इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ कार्डियोलॉजी मुझे भेज दें या मेरे किसी कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट को भेज दें, तो उसी पे ही वो फ़ौरन उस वक्त एडवाइस दे देता है कि इसे ये दवाइयाँ शुरू कर दे, इसे यहाँ हमारे पास शिफ्ट करने की ज़रूरत है कि नहीं है, या फ्यूचर में इसके लिए क्या करने की ज़रूरत है। और उसको वो जो टर्शरी केयर वाली कंसल्टेंसी है, जो ओपिनियन है,
वो घर बैठे
मिल जाती है। और ये हमारा जो है ये सोल्यूशन है जो पेरिफेरल में होता है। तो इसमें से अगर आई थिंक स्ट्रेंथन किया जाए हम अपने पेरिफेरल रूरल हेल्थ सेंटर या बेसिक हेल्थ यूनिट्स को, फॉर दैट मैटर इवन तहसील हेडक्वार्टर या डिस्ट्रिक्ट हेडक्वार्टर को, और वो आगे लिंक हो जाएं हमारे टर्शरी केयर हॉस्पिटल्स के साथ, और वहीं पे बता दिया जाए कि ये मरीज़ हमारे पास ये इशू है, तो हम कहेंगे हाँ इसको ये क्लॉट बस्टर इंजेक्शन लगा दें, इसको फ्ला इंजेक्शन लगा दें, इसका ये इशू है, रिदम का प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है, वहीं पे कर लें। हाँ, जहाँ लंबा काम टेम्प्रेरी पेसमेकर डालना हो, एंजियोग्राफी एंजियोप्लास्टी करनी हो उसको, या और गैजेटरी को इस्तेमाल करनी हो, तो उसे फिर हमारे पास भिजवा दें।
एक जस्ट फॉर इंटरेस्ट से, कवरेज अभी तक कितनी कम है फॉर दिस डिजीज?
बहुत कवरेज
कितनी?
आई वुड से हार्डली, आई थिंक इवन DHP लेवल पे बहुत कम।
कितनी परसेंटेज में, मतलब 50% है?
इसमें 50% से भी कम।
अच्छा, कम।
हाँ जी, फिर आई वुड से कि जी कि अगर इसकी परसेंटेज है तो 30 to 40%।
बड़ी कम है,
बहुत। मैं आपको बताता हूँ कि मेरे पास जो अस्पताल में मरीज़ आता है उसको 10 साल से बीमारी थी और वो नहीं आया। एक तो उसे दिखाने के लिए उसके जेब में पैसे नहीं थे, एक टेस्टों के पैसे नहीं थे, एक दवाइयों के पैसे नहीं थे। उसने यही करना है तो मैं नहीं कर सकूँगा, इसलिए मैं नहीं आया। अब आपने जब फ्री इलाज शुरू किया, मैंने जैसे शुरू में बताया था हमारे अस्पताल में तकरीबन 75% फ्री ट्रीटमेंट हो रहा है, और उसमें एमरजेंसी टोटली फ्री, नॉट अ सिंगल पेनी। चाहे आप मिल मालिक हैं, चाहे मजदूर हैं, आप एंटर हो, आपकी ट्रीटमेंट कराएं, फिर 3 दिन के बाद पूछेंगे जी आपकी क्या अफोर्डेबिलिटी, अगर आपने बड़ा प्रोसीजर, ताकि लोगों में वो झिझक खत्म हो, ट्रीटमेंट करवाएं, वो पैसे का डर खौफ खत्म होकर पैसे देंगे तो इलाज होगा, वो नहीं होगा। ये हमारे अस्पताल में नहीं है, एमरजेंसी टोटली फ्री करनी है।
ये कहाँ पे अस्पताल?
ये रावल रोड पे रावलपिंडी में है।
अच्छा।
रावलपिंडी इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ कार्डियोलॉजी, ये पंजाब गवर्नमेंट का हॉस्पिटल है, और ये 272 बेडेड हॉस्पिटल, और लोग दवाएं दे रहे हैं। ये लोगों का ही पैसा हम लोगों पे खर्च करें, और हमें गवर्नमेंट ने ये पैसा दिया है, और पंजाब गवर्नमेंट इसमें उससे ज़्यादा डेडिकेटेड है कि एक मजदूर जो है वो 2.5-3 लाख का ट्रीटमेंट जो है फ्री करवा के चला जाए, उसे किसी की मिन्नतें नहीं करनी।
राइट।
हमारी वैल्यूएशन कमेटी उधर ही एडमिशन के दौरान ही उसे असेस कर ले, अगर पहले दिन उसको इमरजेंसी में चाहिए तो पहले दिन ही उसका हो जाएगा। वो वैल्यूएट कर लेती है कि इसकी अफोर्डेबिलिटी कितनी है, अगर उस कैटेगरी में होता है तो उसका फ्री फॉरन इलाज करें। और लेकिन मैं जैसे बताया कि महीने के आखिर में आप देखिए हमारे फिगर, तो 75% जो हम फ्री ट्रीटमेंट करें, सिर्फ 25% को चार्ज करें, उसमें से 16% को हम फुली चार्ज कर रहे हैं, बाकियों को सिर्फ सामान के पैसे लें, जो डिस्पोजेबल हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं सिर्फ वो। तो ये मुमकिन है पाकिस्तान में।
जी, ये बताइए कि स्टंट डालने में क्या मैल प्रैक्टिस है जो हो रही है या नहीं हो रही?
नहीं, मैल प्रैक्टिस तो होती है, आई थिंक उसमें से प्रोफेशनल, जैसे मैंने कहा, बॉडीज का बड़ा ज़रूरी है, जहाँ पे नहीं ज़रूरत वहाँ पे डाल दिया जाता है।
घटिया क्वालिटी की
भी होती है, फिर एक्सपायर्ड स्टंट भी डाले जाते हैं।
अच्छा, एक्सपायर?
यानी एक्सपायर हुआ कहीं बाहर से या इधर से, वो उठा के ले आए, वो सस्ते दे दिए डॉक्टर को।
अच्छा,
और डॉक्टर ने फिर
लाइफ होती है
स्टंट की, हाँ उसकी डेट होती है ना एक्सपायरी की, तो वो उसमें
मैंने अगर डलवा ली है, मुझे निकलवा के दोबारा डलवाना पड़ेगा?
नहीं, निकलवाना नहीं पड़ता। जो एक दो स्टंट चला जाता है उसको आप निकाल नहीं सकते।
अच्छा।
उसके ऊपर टिश्यू ग्रो करके वो अपने साथ मिला देता है।
अच्छा।
वो तो नाली के साथ मिल जाता है।
अच्छा।
उसके अंदर अगर कोई ब्लॉकेज हो तो या तो बैलून से खोले या बैलून के साथ वो ज़्यादा नहीं खुल रहा तो ज़रूरत है दूसरे स्टेंट की, तो स्टेंट के अंदर फिर स्टेंट डाल देते हैं। तो वो छोटा होता है। जो मैल प्रैक्टिस हो रही है, एक चोरी के स्टेंट डाले, जैसे दुबई में कई स्टेंट थे, वहाँ से निकाले, किसी ने इधर आके बेच दिए। उनका पता चल जाता है कि बैचेस मुख्तलिफ होते हैं। दुबई को जो कंपनी है मुख्तलिफ बैच बेचती है, पाकिस्तान को मुख्तलिफ बैच बेचती है। अगर वो बैचेस देख लें तो आपको पता चल जाए कि स्टेंट कहाँ से आए। इसी तरह जो एक्सपायर्ड स्टेंट है वो अगर डाला है तो कंपनी से पता चल जाएगा जी कि ये कब
एक्सपायर होने से क्या ब्रिटल हो जाता है क्या?
नहीं, ब्रिटल उसके अंदर जो ड्रग होती है वो उसका इफेक्ट खत्म हो जाता है। लेकिन
अच्छा, स्टंट में ड्रग भी होती है,
फिर भी यूजफुल हो जाता है। हमारा शुरू में ऐसे होता था कि हमारे कुछ डॉक्टर्स थे जो कि बाहर से आते थे, तो वहाँ पे जो नियर एक्सपायरी स्टंट होते थे उठा के ले आते थे, जहाँ पे लोग अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकते, तो ज़कात बैतुल माल वाले गरीब लोग जो नहीं कर सकते उनको वो डाल दिए जाते थे, लेकिन फ्री ऑफ चार्ज। बेसिकली ये है कि जहाँ नाली बंद है, कुछ नहीं मिल रहा, ये स्टंट डाल दे। अब अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह यहाँ पे जो है वो स्टंट्स के रेट बड़े नीचे आ गए हैं और वो डाले जा सकते हैं लोगों को। पाकिस्तान का अपना एक स्टंट बन गया है जिसमें मैं भी शामिल हूँ, नेस्कॉम ने बनाया था, और वो स्टंट मैक्सिमम जो आता है वो 18,000 का स्टंट आता है। उसको ड्रग वगैरह लगी तो और 15,000, उसमें 20,000 शामिल कर लेते हैं, आ जाएगा। लेकिन वो जो 1.5 लाख का स्टंट मिलता है या 1,30,000 का स्टंट मिलता है, वो जनरल पब्लिक में ये वाला स्टंट को इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है।
ठीक है। Thank you very much, Dr. Sahab, Jan Sahab, coming for our program, and we'll end program at this note. But one thing I would like, usually I don't talk at the end of the program and leave the audience with a message that our guest gave, that losing the sanctity of a regulatory body like PMDC is a worrisome. It's not gonna bring the medical care standard down at the bottom in the Pakistan, in the country. It will also ruin the reputation of the medical practitioners working abroad. It will bring a very bad name and misery to the country, which is spending a lot on these bodies. And with this we come to the end of the program. Next guest, next topic. So please keep watching.